and just talk through the basics of the reactivity system that we're going to be using with Buddy. So you'll need a leash, your prong, I have Flint on the flat collar for this example, and then some treats. Ideally the high value ones. I've got liver treats, but honestly hot dogs is probably the way to go. So this builds off of all of the foundational work that we've done, especially the walk. So the primary tool that we're going to have on the walk that we're using when dealing with the reactivity is the 180 turns. So yeah, go ahead and leave it. All right. And what this looks like is essentially the moment our dog goes to fixate on another dog, we're going to hit that 180. And this is step one. It's just making sure that we aren't having a build. So we're walking forward, walking forward, walking forward. I notice Flynn has lost focus on me. So the moment I notice that, my foot posts up, I pivot, and I turn and I walk the other way. And he has to come with me. And with the prong, that becomes meaningful. And so what we're getting right here is anytime our dog is starting to fixate, lose focus on the environment, or specifically lose focus on us and focus on the environment, then we have this way to snap them out of it. And reactivity a lot of times looks a lot like essentially pulling out a bow. Once you have all this tension in place, it's very hard to release it gently. And so what we're trying to do is essentially keep our dog from getting this build up before the explosion. And we do that by, as they lose focus and they hyperfixate on something, we just get their attention right back to us. So we're walking, 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 we've lost it, boom, 180 turn. And that is part one. So now the next part is we want to move from just this constant turning around to our counter conditioning. Now to get there, we must create a safe space for our dog. And this looks just like the food claiming work we did. So wherever that dog is going to be the space that we are claiming for ourselves, right? And then we're going to create a safe passage for our dog, which is the area where the dog is not. So in this case, if we imagine that this thing right here is our dog, we have claimed this area. We now have this safe passage that runs everywhere that is not where the dog is. And once we've established ourselves a safe passage, we can let the dog pass by and we can get to our counter conditioning. So just to take the steps we have so far, let's go. We are walking. We see the fixation. We turn. We have our 180. Now then, as we head back, we're going to claim our space. And then we have our safe passage. So once we've arrived at the spot, and when we go to create the safe passage, we want to give more distance than we think is really necessary. Right? So always start a little too far, then we can start tightening this distance up. So we've created our safe passage, we have our dog's attention. We can now do the counter conditioning. And all counter conditioning comes down to is teaching our dog that, oh hey, when this thing that we're conditioned to get really aroused about in a stressful way comes by, what's actually going to happen is something good. So we're conditioning against the uncomfortable arousal and into hopefully a little bit of excitement about something tasty, like treats. So we have our safe passage. Our dog has not wound themselves up. We have demonstrated to our dog that we have this space behind us taken care of so they don't need to worry about it. And this provides space for our dog to think about treats. Now, a mistake that people make is they'll try and lure their dog's head away with the treats, and that doesn't do us any good, right? We can't counter condition something that our dog is not exposed to. So instead what we want is we are here, we claim the space, our dog's not allowed to run out past us, but we absolutely want our dog looking at the thing, and as they look at it, and we'll pretend he's looking at it, I'm gonna go, yes, and I'm gonna give a treat. It's a very excited, sharp yes, wait. The other thing we can do, and I think I have one in here somewhere, is we can use a clicker, but a clicker is not necessary, and frankly, when you have a bunch of other things in your hand, it can be kind of cumbersome. You're like, all right, I've got leash, I've got treats, and I've got clicker. But if you do have a clicker, then your dog's gonna look at the thing. The moment they do, you click, and then you provide the treat. But we can use the yes marker just like that. So here we are, we have our safe passage. He looks at dog, yes! Boom, we treat. Now, if at any point we start to see our dog getting a little over aroused. This is not the part where we're doing our treating. Instead, what we do is we step in and we just remind our dog that we are claiming this space. This is not theirs to have. So our dog is trying to get over here. Boom, I claim, and we're right here. We've reset. Now I can go back to yes. And we give it back. And this is the first part of the progression of counter conditioning. The next step is your dog is going to wind up looking at the trigger, in this case another dog, and they're going to go, wait, normally at this point I'm going to hear yes, and I'm going to get the treat. What's going on? They'll look at you, then you can mark. We're not going to worry about that right now. We deal with that at a later date. So for now, we do our 180s. We then establish a safe passage by claiming space, and then we get lots of space that way our dog really does not have to worry about it. And if that other dog turns out to be a jerk, then we have not set our dog up for failure. And then anytime our dog looks at it, we mark with a big yes, and then we provide that treat. Once we're done, we probably want to shake off a little bit of the intensity, just because your dog's been going through a little bit of stress here, right? They are still not reacting, but they are seeing something that does cause enough of a cortisol spike, adrenaline spike, whatever it happens to be, to get them to want to react in the first place. So we're going to go ahead and shake out any of that energy. All right, let's go. Come on. Good boy. Well done. So we're not reassuring, but we're bringing up some energy. We're getting that out and just getting them back to a state of mind that's a little more excited, a little more fun. I might give a little pat on the side, tell them you did good. It's a good thing at this point to go, I'm proud of you, right? Because your dog did not react, y'all just went through something difficult. It can be good for you to remind yourself that you're proud of your dog, and good for your dog to hear it. They may not understand the exact meaning of the words, but a lot of times they'll finally get the vibe. And so that is what we're starting out with the basics of dealing with reactivity and counter conditioning.